Welcome to the Ohio AgNet. I'm Joel Penhorwood. Thank you for joining us here today. A very exciting time as we're here this weekend at the Young Ag Professionals Winter Leadership Experience in Columbus, put on by the Ohio Farm Bureau Federation, and an exciting time for the Ohio Farm Bureau. 100 years is what they're celebrating, founded back in 1919. But joining us here, we've got a star-studded cast of young ag professionals and one old ag professional here. He's well over the cutoff limit. So
I've aged out.
Joel Penhorwood, but Matt Reese joining us here from Ohio's Country Journal. He's their editor. He's our editor. Ron Burns of Union County. Ron, thank you for being here.
Yeah, the Union County.
The Union County.
Thank you.
Rose Hartschuh from the Crawford County.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you for being here with us. And also Luke Dahl from Montgomery County. Luke, thanks for joining us. So
appreciate it.
So first of all, you braved the snow. So you got here. So you're stuck in this weekend. Is that right?
We're stuck. We're all stuck. Yes.
How bad was it getting here?
The roads were clear. They were all dry from Marysville. It was 37 minutes.
Oh, rough drive.
It was tough. Yeah, 33 270.
Montgomery County.
We came in before we left before 8 o'clock.
Oh wow.
So it was a long.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you could get up to about 50 a couple spots, but man, 70 was rough. I'm glad to hear that the roads were clear for the folks coming in.
Absolutely. And you guys have some great programming coming up here. Before we get further into this discussion today, which is just going to be a roundtable of agricultural topics, young ag professional topics, let's go around here. We'll start with Ron. Tell us a bit about your operation, your experience in agriculture, and a little bit about your experience with YAP as well.
Ladies first.
Oh, okay. Rose, go ahead.
I'm sorry. What he's going to say. That's okay. Well, my experience in ag started in college. Enrolled at Ohio State, majored in ag education. After college, I started teaching high school ag, and at the same time, I married my husband, Greg, and so I don't have a farm background per se, but Greg's on the farm full time. We have a dairy and grain operation. So I was teaching ag, he was farming. We wanted to start a family, and those are two very time-intensive schedules. So as I told you earlier, I'm still in retirement. So taught for a few years and then was able to stay home with our little kids. And so I kind of started to help on the farm in some different ways. But we also diversified a little bit. We have a wedding venue. And then we started a nonprofit organization called Acres of Adventure, just to help reach people with a positive message about modern ag too. So today, stay home with those kids. They've been out on a lot of snow days the last couple of weeks, so I'm really happy to be here this week. Yeah. And then also just help on the dairy, the wedding venue, and the nonprofit.
So a little bit of a reprieve from the busyness at home to come here and learn about some agricultural topics.
They've gone to school 2 days in the last week. Twin boys. They're 5.
They're energetic. They are energetic.
They are lively. So I'm looking forward to
my wife, Katie, and I have not had to experience that yet. So I hear good things.
Yeah.
I grew up with a twin sister, and it was awesome.
Yeah, they're great friends. They keep each other entertained.
Yes.
Did you make any snow angels with the kids this week?
So I sent them outside. I said, listen, I know that it is.
I sent them outside.
I know it's 5 degrees. Just bundle up, put on some prayer socks. You'll be fine.
Tough it out.
That's awesome.
Yeah. But today was a lot nicer. They were actually out today too. You asked about the weather. We got some snow last night, so schools around us were all closed.
Yeah, we got a lot more snow than our staff meteorologist told us about, so we're going to have to give him a hard time. Come on, guys. Ron, now that you've thrown Rose under the bus, go ahead.
No, I just wanted to go first. From Union County, and grew up on a row crop operation. Then also my dad has a passion for machinery, just buying and selling machinery. So kind of in my blood on the machinery side, but also the row crop. Went to Ohio State Ag Systems Management and did horticulture crop science for a minor, and I love it. I work as a crop consultant now for Nutrient Ag Solutions, but then I also have my own operation and it helped my father. Own operation, you talk about yours is diverse. We do some organic production and trying to increase that. My wife does farmers markets with some beef and vegetables and with the produce. So we're trying to bring in the grain side with some organic flour to the market for local, and then stick with the row crop and some custom stuff. So just a lot of fun.
Very good. Thank you very much. Luke, tell us a bit about your ag background.
Well, I grew up on our home farm. We're actually celebrating 100 years as well. So the original farm was bought actually in 1918 officially. So we're a little bit late, but we're doing our 100-year celebration.
Congrats.
Thanks. So I grew up doing that, and I actually went to college I studied music for a long time, and basically a professional student. I got my doctorate in music performance. So I did that I taught for a little bit, met my wife. We got married, and 2 weeks later we moved back to Ohio and started in on the farm. And we've got 13 or 14. One just retired, so say 13 full-time family members.
Wow.
That work. My grandpa still works on the farm, and then we have 3 or 4 full-time non-family, and then some seasonal help. But we do hogs, fair to finish. We got about 500 sows. We got 150 cattle on a feedlot, and then we raise seed corn, seed beans for seed consultants.
Very good.
So we stay plenty busy with the tasslers. It's like a whole nother thing.
That's no fun. The detasseling is no fun.
So over there at Dahl Homestead Farms, is there any kind of music that the animals prefer?
Yeah. Do you sing to them, or?
Yeah, you hum a little too. You know, maybe some Hank Williams or something.
When Dr. Dahl is in the house.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Well, so we haven't done very many experiments with that, I guess. But maybe
moving forward.
I can see an Ohio's Country Journal story down the road.
Right.
What do you think?
Well, yeah, I want to know your music of choice. Are you an instrumentalist? Are you a vocalist? Or
I was a percussionist.
Oh, well, there you go.
So played with orchestras and different stuff. Played at Carnegie Hall once. Well, I had great experiences doing that, and so different chapter now. So.
Well, we have a nice mix of different agricultural backgrounds and experience levels and things that you guys are getting into. Let's go ahead and jump into one of those topics that we have here, and that's getting into farming as this part of this generation. So here at Young Ag Professionals Leadership Experience, it's kind of 18 to 35, and then there's a whole bunch of others like this guy.
And then old guys, crazy old guys.
So the millennials really make up a good portion of this, and so from that, what are some of the challenges? What are some of the things you guys are working through to continue to be involved in agriculture? And who wants to jump in first? If anybody's got an answer first.
You got one? I can go. I can
Under
go
the
first.
bus again.
No.
Yes.
No, as far as like getting into ag, real fortunate growing up on a row crop operation and having the opportunity with my parents to show steers with 4-H and heifers, and really appreciated that. Some of the challenges, I guess, going into that was not being at a large enough scale to support, multiple families for our situation. So then working that off-farm job and then trying to figure out what else you're passionate about, because you want that paycheck, but you also want to enjoy when you're going to that job and not actually be just a paycheck. I've been fortunate on the opportunities I've had to just have a passion and follow that with my full-time W-2 work, but then try to balance that time with growing your own operation. And so it's been a challenge as far as that time management on what your boss wants you to do, what the wife wants you to do, and then what you want to do, and not having kids yet. That would be the next step in there. So.
Right.
And with your organic operation, that's a whole nother set of management challenges. And I'm curious about your thought process going in that. You're sort of putting your own mark on the operation with the organics. How did you get started going in that direction?
There was a family friend that had some already certified organic ground, and I'm a big numbers person, spreadsheets and everything, and figuring on the limited amount of acres that I have access to. I just wanted to maximize the profit potential, but also balance that time. And so it's been really a blessing on doing some more organic production. Helping Dad with his operation, we cover maybe about 1,500 acres, 1,000 rented, and then we do about a little over 500 for custom planting and harvesting, and focusing down now on a couple hundred acres and trying to make that work and cash flow for itself, and then maybe make a little bit of money for the family on the side. I don't know.
Yeah. Now, Ron, I can relate to your area quite a bit. So my family, we've always been involved in agriculture, but not full-time farmers. My mom and dad were not. Now, Grandpa's farm, he's got about 80 acres that my brothers and I, so I'm the youngest of 3, that we're kind of getting into. Mm-hmm. And so that part-time work, we always worked on the extended family's farm growing up through their large dairy farm. several hundred acres of row crops. My oldest brother's down in Mississippi now. He's followed his dream of farming down there, so he's farming full time. And so we're going through a transitional period here where we're trying to figure out that balance as well. I'm 25, my wife's 22. So yeah, if you have any tips, let me know. If you guys have any tips, let me know too.
We'll wake up early and go to bed late and make a plan that looks good on paper, and repeat, hopefully 40% of it works out for you.
Absolutely.
But just have the plan and just keep going. Don't stop. But yeah, it's fun. Organized chaos. Finding our place.
Yeah.
And talk about a multi-generational family business. Luke, you work with, you mentioned, what did you say, 13 family members?
Yeah.
So that's got pros and cons, right?
Oh yeah.
So how do you guys make it work?
It's all positive.
I feel like
it's all
positive. I mean, yeah.
How do you make it work, and how do you guys each find your niche and what you do on the farm?
Well, the way it's sort of unfolded for us is the older generation has been pretty good about letting the guys who, several of them have been there in my generation, have been there basically since high school, but they've sort of let them have the freedom to go and try to figure out what their niche is going to be. And right now, the biggest struggle is, the things that my dad does, things my uncles do. Who's going to move into that if we're all going out? My brother's really taken sort of our cattle, and he's trying to expand that, trying to make that basically kind of his full time, where he can almost do that full time instead of planting beans and trucking and doing all of these sorts of things. So as he moves into that, it's like, okay, well, who's going to move into that? When my dad's done, okay, well, who's going to move into that? So that's those are the biggest struggles that we have, but them sort of giving us kind of freedom to sort of explore things, and we come together. We try to probably once a month have a board meeting where everybody comes together and we try to work on that communication as far as what expectations are and sort of the directions that we're going. And that's been a huge help since we've started doing that. That's kind of where we are.
See, it is all pros. It's all pros.
Very good.
The communication thing is working towards a pro, but we're working on it. So
that's neat when you talk about taking a different or certain focus of the operation or your piece of the pie. Because my brother and I did that. He does he likes the hay and straw, so he's been doing that portion. I've been doing the row crop as far as on the organic production, and then I'll plant corn and then haul grain, and then Dad sprays, and then my brother helps plant the beans. So we kind of went to the same focus like that.
Everybody kind of takes a channel. I got a cousin. All he does pretty much is sprays, and he's great at it, and that's his thing.
Because before you kind of felt like a professional amateur, because you're a jack of all trades.
And that's kind of where I am. I'm the last person from my generation to come in. I've only been back for 3.5 years or so. So it's like I came back, I did hog work. I still load hogs every week, once or twice a week. I run the nurse truck. I'm going to start spraying this fall. I truck, I haul beans, I do lots of different things. I fix things, I service things. So it's like I'm kind of at that place where it's like I'm not quite into my own thing yet. So I'm kind of experiencing it. I'm just like, everybody calls me and it's like, oh, we got something for you to do. And it's like, everybody calls me and says they got something for me to do. So
I'm security.
Yeah, it is, and that's what I say. And especially hauling manure. That's like, you need manure hauled, call Luke. That's my job.
The manure guy.
He can do the manure guy.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you also have a different perspective because you kind of went out there, did something that wasn't agriculturally related. So do you have any words, or either of you guys as well, for those that maybe have a lot of tradition in their farm, maybe they're expected to come back to the farm, that can be sometimes an interesting situation when I want to experience something not only agriculturally related, still want to be involved in the farm, but also there's a world out there to experience. What was your experience going through that?
For me, spending that much time in school, it gave me a deep appreciation for accountability in a job. Things like, this isn't my dad being my boss. This is somebody else. I'm just an employee, in certain cases. So that kind of side of it was interesting. But then going through the schooling portion, just learning how to communicate with people, learning how I feel like my critical thinking skills improved a lot, my research skills, all sorts of things like that I think are applicable across the board no matter what you're doing. They stress a lot of that in the later years of school, is critical thinking, problem solving, all sorts of things like that. As far as our farm, this is you go back to the pros and cons thing. We were always encouraged to go out and do something else. Because the way my grandpa, the way the farm was, like for my dad, my dad and my uncles, they all went off. One was a plumber, my dad drove trucks, and then when they decided they were going to incorporate the farm, they all came back. And so they said, well, we would like for everybody to go out, learn something else, experience something else, and then if you want to come back, come back. It hasn't always gone that way, but I was encouraged to do that. Just for whatever other benefits might come from it.
And Rose, you've probably seen a lot of that situation, not only being involved as an agricultural educator, but also somebody who's raising a family as well. So what's your take about getting into the operation in general?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of value to what Luke's talking about. I know a lot of parents who will tell their kids, you're welcome to come back, we'll find a way to make that work, but you need to go do something else first. And I think one of the biggest challenges is just looking at the job side and the family side separately, because it's really easy to get those all mixed up and everything gets messy. So I think if you can go off and do something and have a 9-to-5 job or whatever it is, where you're getting into those good work habits and then bringing that perspective back to the farm, I think there's a lot of value to that, because it is a job and it is a family, and it's not always clear, but you have to leave work at work sometimes, and you have to deal with family issues when they come up too, and try to separate out, okay, why is this an issue? Because this is my family member, and why is this an issue? Because of my job.
How does your husband do that? Does he do well with that, as far as walking away from the farm for dinner with you or with the family? How's that work out?
So one of the benefits, I guess, of being on the farm with a family is, I just said leave them separate, but you can also mix that up when you're in the tractor, till midnight planning or whatever you're doing. There's a lot of flexibility to combine the two, I guess. So sometimes, to use a response like Luke would give, sometimes it's easier than others, and there's pros.
Oh, yes.
I think agriculture is a unique industry. Matt and I have talked about this, about not only is it an industry, whereas there's a workplace, there's small businesses, but also it's sort of that intersection of a lifestyle.
Right.
So it's that unique mix, and I think you guys are right in the heat of it right now. So
I had the opportunity this fall during harvest. My wife and I welcomed our first baby in June.
Congratulations.
Thank you. And harvest is rough. I wouldn't see her for like a week at a time, because I'd be up before she was up, and I'd be up when she went down. But I had the opportunity, she came, and the tractor that we had had a buddy seat that I could hook her car seat into, and she rode with me and slept with, and I fed her, and it was just like having that, being able to do that, intersect the lifestyle with, and then my wife, had a break, she went to the library and read, and it was like,
she probably thought that was a good deal.
Yeah, it's a pretty good deal. So, it's a struggle, definitely, to keep them separate sometimes. But then it's also really neat when they come together in those kind of ways, because we're talking about having more kids and all that kind of stuff, and I've told her several times, I don't need to ask permission for my daughter to go to work with me. She's 2 years old. I'm going to be in the tractor. It's great. So it's that's a really neat and unique experience.
And I think it's those kind of experiences that foster that desire to come back to the farm. I can tell now our boys are 5. I know that they're both going to want to be there, because they've had experiences like that, and you can see them starting to develop that passion, which is pretty exciting.
One thing that I find so amazing about this conference and the Young Ag Professionals in general is you guys are at very busy times in your life. You've got the farm, you've got off-farm jobs, you've got families, you've got young children, you're involved with Farm Bureau, and you find time to go to meetings and do all these things. How do you balance all that? There's a lot going on in this very busy season of life, and that's a real challenge for a lot of organizations, but this organization, the Young Ag Professionals, has really thrived in the last few years. Why is that?
Who gets thrown under the bus first, right? How about the man with the wonderful hair here?
Yeah, that is dazzling.
Ron, you're up.
Hey, I appreciate
Now,
it.
what does that count as a mullet, or what is the?
I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not
Okay.
sure. I think I've
Where's the hat?
trimmed the
Right.
sides a little tighter, maybe. Then I think it'd be a mullet. Then.
Okay.
It's got
Well,
nice. It's got
you
nice
got the
body.
party in
It's
the
got a
back
Real
going.
nice body.
Yes.
At 2020, we'll check back with you. It'll be
There
glorious.
we go. There we go.
You have some specks of gray.
Yeah, there probably will be. What were we talking about?
I'm sorry.
Time frame?
Time
Timing?
management. Time management.
Oh,
with
man.
all your irons in the fire. How do you do it?
I don't know, keep a calendar, write it all down, try to do, and then, like I said, wake up early, go to bed late, and we'll just do it all over again.
More.
You start, always wanted to be involved in all the activities and college, as far as Saddle and Sirloin, Block and Bridle, and ASM Club. I was even in a couple other clubs and things like that. Try to experience different things, but now you're trying to focus in agriculture, that is your world, and so you want to be involved as much as possible. Just keeping track of everything, and it's what we're passionate about. So it's not really like a burden on your time, but it does take a lot of time. But it's not a burden, so it's really nice.
But some days it can feel like one, I bet.
Every once in a while, it sure can.
I think a big part that goes along with that is the quality of the time spent. I feel like this conference, we have a good time. We bring everybody in, we have a good time, but we try to keep it moving. We try to keep things relevant, so that the time that you spend here, you say, okay, like that was worth taking a day and a half, or whatever you took off from your operation. That was worth coming to. I learned something. I don't feel like my time was wasted. At home too. It's like when you're home and you got that chance, with your wife or with your kids. Look at the quality of the time that you're spending.
It's constructive time. Like when we're here, you're away from your operation, but it's still relaxing, but it's still very constructive. And I think just the way we think in production for livestock or row crops or anything, we're always thinking of that constructive part, or just what can we keep doing to make every day better for us, and just being involved in your community and helping others, and just helping your operation. It's just a lot of fun.
Dairy farm's harder to get away from too. You gotta schedule that out a little bit ahead of time. But
yeah, I think Ron started to touch on it. Ag is really a value-based industry. I know you mentioned kind of the family aspect and that piece of it, but I think we do the things we do because they're important to us, and because we feel like we're giving back and that it's helping other people. And so I always tell people, everybody has the same number of hours in the day, but it's choosing to spend that time on the things that are important to you.
Very good point.
And prioritize. You got to prioritize.
a lot of times we talk to farmers about topics that are, top of mind for, say, Ohio Farm Bureau right now, but sometimes farmers we talk to are a little bit up there in years and they say, we don't have to worry about that in our lifetime, but you guys do. So we're going to go over a couple of those topics. One of them being that of, we've got it written down here, industrial hemp. That's something that's been talked about for a little while. And look at this, he's a seed consultants guy over there. He's making plans for it now. No, I don't know. But what's your take on, what are your thoughts on that, Matt? You want to offer any words?
Well, there's a number of niche crop opportunities, and I think a lot of times the younger generation, younger farmers, are more apt to consider some of those niche opportunities. And one of those is industrial hemp. There's funding in the Farm Bill for it. Mm-hmm. There's more talk about it, but here in Ohio, there's some legislative hurdles yet for that to go through. So I guess, what are your guys' thoughts on looking at some of those niche crops, and as you look to the future of your operation, including industrial hemp or things like hops or
cover crop beer made from
Tennessee. Tennessee did the industrial hemp. We're allowing a certain amount of growers to be able to produce, but then Ohio, Kentucky. So it was Kentucky, and there was my time at Farm Credit. There was a lady I worked with. Her husband is one of those producers, and so I just reached out to them 3 days ago, probably, and asked, and they said to follow up with your legislature, and then farm service agency and things like that. But I don't know anything about that niche. If you guys do,
are there any other kind of those niche crops that you guys
hear about hops a lot?
Yeah.
You know, Hop Growers Guild recently met just in this building, and then some other ones. I mean, there's sunflowers.
So we took a livestock approach. We just built a barn in our house for 80 sheep, and so going from these big, cows down to some smaller sheep. And there's a lot of potential there, and I think as young people, we're maybe a little more likely to think outside the box a little bit and figure out what makes sense. So for us, we were already used to dealing with livestock. We knew exactly what we wanted in a facility because we wanted it to be easy to manage. And so I think our generation is a lot more likely to take advantage of that kind of stuff and take risks.
You guys are doing the sheep, and you're doing the dairy and the wedding venue?
Yeah, just a little bit of everything.
And twins.
Yeah.
Oh, that's incredible.
We try something, and if it doesn't work, okay, that was a bad idea. What are we going to try next?
Oh, that's
You
great.
got to have enough to keep the twins busy here in a few years.
Hey, that's right. That's right. To kind of just go off with your sheep on the organic side, I've also, on my quality of the grains, I'll get it inspected and then see if I can sell it for food grade or feed grade. On the food grade, I've been able to sell for a premium on top of just being organic. And then now with this last season, I have this batch, and we're going to bag that. And so it's directly from our operation to the consumer. And it'll be at the farmer's market as another value added. So that's kind of what we're doing a little different on our farm.
Okay.
I think with these types of crops, what you said, we have this amount of acreage, and you start looking at margin. You say, well, okay, well, like, how can we make money on this? Mm-hmm. If a young farmer, like you were saying, younger people might be a little more into this. Land is expensive, so it's like, okay, well, I can only buy this many acres. How can I make money off of this? If it's industrial hemp, do I feel good about growing? And maybe a moral thing that you would like to inspect first, but that's whatever. But you say, okay, well, I can't buy a lot of acreage, but I can grow hops here, and people are paying for hops. I can market that. You work out the marketing for it. So like you said, I mean, millennials are a little bit more maybe inclined to do this for an economic reason and just an interest.
And maybe that's what opens the door to getting back on the farm too.
Exactly. You pair that with something.
So on that note, let's say I'm a millennial that wants to get into agriculture.
Let's say you are.
Okay, all right, I'm a millennial. New millennial?
Joel-ennial.
Joel-ennial. Yeah. Ooh, nice. Yeah, we're one of a kind. Anyways. Let's say I want to get into agriculture.
There's literally only one.
There's literally one. Just me. Let's say I want to get into agriculture, but I don't have an ag experience. From your guys, or an ag background, or family that's in agriculture, from your guys' experience or perspective, how hard or how easy would that be in today's ag climate if I don't have already that in?
If you have a passion and good communication skills, I mean, nothing's going to stop you from what you want to do anyways. But as far as that, I mean, you could work with a neighbor that that if you're passionate about the sheep and the neighbor has sheep, you go up and ask them, maybe you can be involved there. Or the row crops, we, growing up, had some friends that always wanted to be a part of the production side and help with the hay and straw or with the row crops. And just get out there and ask your neighbors, or get with the FSA office. Farm Bureau does a really good job of linking opportunities for anyone that wants to get started, and then lining you up with someone that's already been successful in that area.
One huge obstacle, though, is capital.
Yeah.
And how do you guys get around that? How do young farmers get around that monumental obstacle that's a challenge for everybody?
You just go to the bank and say, "Hey, I need a check."
Hey, I'm Rose.
Doing it wrong.
I need money.
It's just the you get money. Just the Oprah.
Yeah. Nice.
I completely lost my train of thought. Sorry.
Capital.
Talking about just finding opportunities to get your foot in the door and understanding it's not going to happen overnight. There are a lot of retiring farmers. We all know the average age. Getting your foot in the door you know, being able to prove that you can work hard and do it, and develop relationships with, you know, with that community of maybe guys who are looking to get out. To me, that's kind of the way that I think about how you would get in, just because of the capital. I mean, it's
not easy.
Just land. It's just like
to kind of go off of what he's saying, when you're looking at it, I mean, you have to have a sharp pencil. And are you going to do it for fun, or are you going to do it for business? I mean, you want to have fun doing it, but if it's going to be paying the electric bill, or you want to have, you know, keep a roof over your kids' heads, you better keep a sharp pencil.
And thinking ahead a long period of time too, you know, I joked about just going to the bank and asking for money. You have to have cash to even get started. And so I think today, if you sit down and you say, you know, a goal of mine is to buy 80 acres, you're going to have the down payment for that. So that means that you're going to have to be pretty conservative in how you manage your finances to get to that point. Cash is still king in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
And that is what is a big challenge.
And if you are started, just know your size and scale, like you said. It doesn't happen overnight. Like today, for example, I went to a farm auction. There was a tractor selling there, and I've always wanted an 8400 or an 8200. I cannot afford one. I don't know why, but I just always go and watch, and I'm just like, no. I talked to the gentleman. I said, just sell me that thing in 10 years when it's in my price range, because I just know my size and scale, what I need to be using, what updates you should be doing to kind of not get behind as far as on your balance sheet of what the value of your equipment is, looking at your depreciation. But it's just one of those things that you just got to know where you're at, and if you have that goal in mind, you're going to get there, but it's going to take a while.
Ron, you're a wheeler dealer. I can't believe you didn't talk him into it.
I didn't talk him into it.
You know, I get what you mean, because, you know, I go out and do a lot of stories and you know, some cab cams and stuff, talking about the latest in GPS technology and the latest in row sense and stuff like that. And then we go back and we're deciding whether or not in 5 years to get a cab in our tractor. Right. So, you know,
exactly.
It's sort of a different perspective. But over in our area, there's a lot of farmers, say my age, or they would like to expand their farm, but they can't find that right price land. And so that's a huge factor, I think in these days. So,
very big factor.
But nice to come to an event like this and share those thoughts and those experiences with other people. So,
yeah, beginning young farmer loans, and then working with any lender near you that can possibly help your operation. I mean, anything you can do, local banks, anything.
And a rich uncle never hurt.
Oh, rich uncle. So go find one of those.
Yeah.
All right.
Now, looking forward, some of the big challenges that are discussed often is the growing disconnection between consumers and the farm community. And that's going to fall on you guys, and that's going to fall on your kids and my kids and future generations. That's only going to be a bigger issue to deal with. How do you guys see you personally filling that role, and then groups like this also filling that role?
I don't know. It's going to take it for granted, but as technology increases, but we keep getting separate on the disconnect, and I don't know the magic wand or the answer on that. I don't know your guys' input.
And maybe it goes into the same question which I have written down here. How do you use social media? So, you know, does that relate to talking to the consumer?
I think it's a matter of transparency. You know, you get on social media and you watch these stories that are so far-fetched about consumers thinking there's Roundup and there's cereal and all of these things, and you just sit there and you get so mad. But the question you have to ask yourself is, okay, what am I going to do to change that? Is it going to be a Facebook page? Is it going to be inviting a group out to see your farm? I think any conversations we can have on a small scale or on a large scale are going to help combat that. I really want my kids to be able to farm if that's what they want to do, and I want them to be able to have livestock if that's what they want to do. And for that to happen, we have to start engaging in these conversations. And they're not always easy, and it's a lot easier to roll your eyes sometimes than to dive in and really start talking. But that's what's going to keep our generation engaged in the process, I guess.
Going to college for 9 years, you know, there were times that, I mean, you're just shocked.
Like, wow, people actually think that.
You know, or just how little people know in general. And so I had the opportunity, and one of the reasons why when I came back, I knew I wanted to be involved in the Farm Bureau. I knew I wanted to be involved in having these conversations. Because when I was there, I mean, just countless conversations. So many people, because you're sitting there and eat lunch, and some guy comes walking by and he's throwing out pamphlets on chairs and stuff, and they're all, it's PETA, it's HSUS, and it's these, I'd pick up and I'd read every single one because, you just kind of want to know, like, I wonder what they're saying about us, and that everybody there is reading. And so that just, for me, it was like I could get mad and defensive, but instead it was such a cool opportunity to take this pamphlet and, my colleague next to me was like, well, what are they talking about? What is that? And you can sit there and be like, well, that's actually not what that is, and this is why we do it this way, but that's not really an accurate depiction, or whatever. Just sort of share that correct, the correct version of our story. And so that's such a cool conversation to be involved.
Even talking about the social media, like on Facebook, there's so easy to hit that share button, and then even us that are in agriculture, it seems like on the negatives, we always are, or you'll see many people that are always sharing the negatives instead of what they're actually doing positive on their farm. And when that negative keeps getting around, and the consumer is going to see that, and they hopefully will believe that it's not true, but at the same time, when you're only just sending that message, that's not a good way to portray what's going on. So we need to use social media every day, every week of what we're actually doing on our operation and explain why we're doing it.
And one thing that comes to mind, I hang around on the social media area, Reddit, and there was somebody shared the new push. Yeah, I don't remember, but somebody shared the push in Congress to make animal abuse a felony. And well, on the surface level, that's a great idea, but as we look deeper into that, is there some anti-animal agriculture connotations? It wants to say burning is animal abuse. Well, yeah, it is. But in the case of agriculture, is me, dehorning a calf? Is that considered burning? Is that considered burning? And am I going to go to federal prison for that? So, it's those things that you guys have to deal with, and our hats are off to you as young farmers and young ag professionals going forward here. So, anything you'd like to get accomplished here in this next day and a half as we kind of wrap up this roundtable? Anything you guys want? Interesting things?
Want to meet folks?
Absolutely.
See who might be interested in being on the committee in the future. We might want to be doing discussion meets, things like that. We've got some great opportunities for young people to get involved. So just looking forward to meeting people and hearing their stories and just getting over it.
Rose?
I would just echo what,
under the bus.
Yeah. Ron's going to drink the cover crop beer. That's what's on.
What do you guys think of that, by the way?
It's great.
You like the cover crop?
I'm not much of a beer drinker, but it's all right.
All right.
I've not tried it yet.
Yeah.
Not tried it yet. So
at the Ohio annual meeting, they had the cups over there in over there in the corner. That was like free samples. It was like,
Luke's
could I take my thing and go get another one? It's like,
Just brought the keg over to the table.
It was good. It was good. We really enjoyed it.
No, the committees do a great job. I was on the committee a couple years ago, 4 or 5 years ago, and really enjoyed it. And the best part is just the networking with everyone. If you've seen them from Ohio State, Wilmington, or whatever ag colleges, or if you had an ag background, it's kind of fun to see those connections, and that there's people around Ohio that are just as passionate about agriculture as you, trying to make an impact in their community, and we all want to make an impact, and we all work together on that, and we can help connect the consumer.
Well, and Rose, you're now on the board, so you had board meetings this week, and then this. So how's that? That's sort of two different worlds there, isn't it? How you balance the thing?
So I had my first meeting this week for the Ohio Farm Bureau Board of Trustees, which was really exciting. But one of the things they challenged us with is, as you're here this weekend, start looking for your replacement. So I'm fairly young compared to some of the people on the board, but that's still a good challenge to keep in mind. Like, who's coming down the pike that's going to fill roles on the state committee or serve as a trustee in their local farm bureau? So that's exciting to see where people can start plugging in.
Suddenly Ron starts hanging around you more.
No.
Well, thank you all very much for your time today, and have fun over the next couple of days, and I'm sure we'll cross paths with you down the road here as agriculture
topics
continues.
to cover another time.
Absolutely. Invite us out, we'll do
a Christmas tree.
Right, I can help you out with the Christmas tree.
Christmas tree. You have your lamb under the tree.
Yeah.
There you go.
It's a whole nativity.
The whole nativity.
Yeah, that'll be this coming winter. We'll just do the nativity. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, Thank you for tuning in with us here to this Ohio Ag Roundtable from the Young Ag Professionals Winter Leadership Experience and Ohio Farm Bureau celebrating 100 years, so that's pretty exciting. Joining us, our guests around the table will start the furthest away from me. Luke Dahl, Montgomery County. I want to make sure I get the counties right here. Rose Hartschuh, Crawford County. Ron Burns, Union County, not too far from me in Logan County. And here, Matt Reese, editor of Ohio's Country Journal, over in Fairfield County.
Right.
Is that right? All right. I'm Joel Penhorwood. Hey, thanks for tuning in.